Hello and welcome. Let's talk about the milk aisle. Have you ever stood there just staring at the dozens and dozens of cartons, feeling completely and utterly overwhelmed? One news report says dairy is essential for your bones. The next one you see says it's inflammatory. Your doctor might tell you one thing, your well-meaning neighbor swears by another. It's enough to make you want to give up and just drink water. Here's something that might surprise you. After the age of 50, our bodies can lose bone mass at an alarming rate. For women, this can happen very quickly for several years around menopause, and by age 65, men and women are often losing bone at the same rate. At the exact same time, our bodies naturally start to lose muscle mass. It's a condition called sarcopenia, and it can affect up to half of all people over the age of 80, making us feel weaker and less steady on our feet. But what the labels on those milk cartons don't tell you is that the right choice can be one of your most powerful daily tools against this decline. It's not just about calcium, and if you've been telling yourself, well, feeling weaker and a little more fragile is just part of getting older, I'm here today to respectfully challenge that idea. You have so much more control than you think. In the next 25 minutes, we're going on a deep dive. We're going to walk through that confusing milk aisle together, carton by carton. We'll uncover the best and the worst milks for your health over 65. And I promise you'll walk away from this video with the confidence to make the perfect choice for you, starting tomorrow morning. The problem we're tackling today is simple. The world of milk has become incredibly confusing, and at our stage of life, the stakes for our health are higher than ever. Our goal is ambitious, but I know it's achievable: to give you a clear, no-nonsense guide to choosing the milk that will help you build stronger bones, maintain your precious muscle, protect your heart, and feel good doing it. To do this, we're not going to rely on fads or the latest headline. We'll be drawing on solid research and guidelines from trusted American institutions you know and respect, like the Mayo Clinic, the National Institute on Aging, Johns Hopkins Medicine, and the official Dietary Guidelines for Americans from the USDA. To make this simple and clear, we're going to structure our journey as a countdown. We'll start with the milks you should probably avoid, what I call the worst offenders, and count our way up to the gold standard choices. We'll look at 10 of the most popular options you'll find in any grocery store. For each one, we'll ask 3 simple questions. What's really in it? How does it affect a body over 60? And what's the final verdict? You'll definitely want to stick around for our top 3 choices, as they represent the best that nutritional science has to offer for vibrant aging. And you might be surprised by a very popular healthy milk that comes in at number 5. It's one that many of us have in our fridge right now, but it has a hidden drawback that is particularly important for seniors to understand. And of course, a quick but very important reminder: I'm not a doctor, and this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice from your own physician or a registered dietitian who knows your personal health history. Always consult with your healthcare provider for any questions about your health. All right, are you ready? Let's start the countdown with the absolute worst choice you can make at number 10. All right, coming in at number 10, at the very bottom of our list, is raw milk. This is milk that comes straight from an animal, a cow, a goat, a sheep, and has not been pasteurized or heat-treated to kill germs. Now, the appeal of raw milk is often its natural status. You'll hear proponents claim it has more nutrients, more enzymes, and is better for you. But here's the critical fact that institutions like the Centers for Disease Control and the FDA want every American to know: pasteurization is one of the greatest public health advancements of the last century. It is a simple process that kills incredibly dangerous bacteria like Listeria, Salmonella, E. coli, and Campylobacter. These germs can cause severe foodborne illness, leading to days of vomiting, diarrhea, and terrible stomach cramps. For a healthy young person, this might just be a miserable few days. But for adults over 65, whose immune systems may not be as robust as they once were, these infections can be catastrophic. They can lead to severe complications like kidney failure, paralysis from Guillain-Barré syndrome, and can even be fatal. I think of a gentleman named Frank I once read about. He was a firm believer in all things natural. He started buying raw milk from a local, very clean-looking farm, thinking he was doing his body a favor. For a while, he was fine. Then one week, he came down with a terrible case of what he thought was just the stomach flu. It turned out to be a nasty Campylobacter infection from a contaminated batch of that all-natural milk. It took him weeks to fully recover his strength. The scary part is that the presence of germs is completely unpredictable. So the action step here is simple and non-negotiable. Avoid raw milk and any products made from it, like raw milk soft cheeses or yogurts. The risk far, far outweighs any of the claimed benefits. And for the record, studies show the nutritional value of pasteurized milk is nearly identical, and it doesn't carry the risk of life-threatening bacteria. Now for the red flags. If you've consumed raw milk and you start to experience any symptoms like severe diarrhea, a bloody stool, vomiting, or a fever, you need to contact your doctor immediately. And be sure to tell them you drank raw milk so they know exactly what they might be dealing with. From a product that's dangerous because of what it might contain, let's move to our number 9, which is a problem because of what's deliberately added to it. Coming in at number 9 is something you might have sitting in your pantry right now for baking: sweetened condensed milk. Let's be very clear about what this is. It's cow's milk that has had most of the water removed, and then a very large amount of sugar is added. That sugar acts as a preservative, which is why it can sit on a shelf for so long. But when we look at the nutrition, or lack thereof, it's shocking. Just 2 tablespoons of sweetened condensed milk can pack around 130 calories and a staggering 22 grams of sugar. To put that in perspective, the American Heart Association recommends that men have no more than 36 grams of added sugar per day, and women should have no more than 25. 2 spoonfuls of this in your coffee, and you've nearly wiped out your entire daily limit before you've even left the house. Here's a simple way to think about it. Think of sweetened condensed milk not as milk, but as a baking ingredient or a candy-making syrup. It belongs in the same category as corn syrup or caramel sauce. It is simply not designed for regular consumption as a beverage or a milk substitute. My aunt, bless her heart, used to love putting a spoonful in her morning coffee. She thought, "It's milk, it's creamy, what's the harm?" She was also struggling to manage her blood sugar and couldn't figure out why her morning numbers were always so high. When her doctor finally had her write down everything she ate, that harmless spoonful of condensed milk was the obvious culprit. It was a very small habit that was having a very big impact on her health. Your action step here is to keep this product in the baking aisle of your mind. Use it for your holiday pumpkin pie. Use it for that key lime pie recipe you love, but never ever treat it as a daily milk product. It's a dessert, plain and simple. The red flag here isn't about an immediate reaction, but about long-term health. If you're struggling with managing your weight, if your blood sugar levels are a concern, or if you've been diagnosed with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, hidden sugars like this are a critical conversation to have with your doctor or a registered dietitian. Speaking of hidden sugars, that leads us directly to our number 8, a product that is often marketed as a healthy choice for kids, but can be a real trap for seniors. At number 8, we have flavored milks, like your classic chocolate or strawberry milk. The argument for flavored milk, and you hear this a lot, is that it encourages people, especially children, to drink milk and get all those good nutrients. And that part is true. It has the same great protein, calcium, and vitamin D as plain milk. However, it comes at a cost, and that cost is sugar. A single 8-ounce cup of flavored milk can contain around 8 grams of added sugar, on top of the 12 to 13 grams of natural milk sugar that's already there. That brings the total to over 20 grams of sugar in one glass. This added sugar contributes empty calories and can be especially problematic for any of us who are managing our weight or trying to keep our blood sugar stable. I remember a friend's father, Bill, who had a glass of chocolate milk every single night before bed. It was a comfort habit he'd had since he was a boy. Now, Bill was a fit guy. He walked every day, but he was so frustrated by that stubborn bit of belly fat that he just couldn't seem to lose. On a whim, he decided to switch his nightly chocolate milk for a glass of plain, low-fat milk. He not only cut out nearly 3,000 grams of added sugar a year, that's almost 7 pounds of pure sugar, but he also found he slept better without that sugar spike right before his head hit the pillow. So the action step here is to treat flavored milks as an occasional treat, not a daily staple. If you really enjoy the taste, consider making your own healthier version at home. Just add a teaspoon of unsweetened cocoa powder and maybe a tiny drop of vanilla extract to a glass of plain milk. You get that comforting flavor without the mountain of added sugar. Again, the red flag here is about your long-term health. If your A1C levels are creeping up, or if you're finding it difficult to manage your weight, it's time to become a detective and look for all the sources of added sugar in your diet. Discuss this with your healthcare provider. So far, our worst list has focused on dairy products with some clear dangers. Now, let's start moving into the world of plant-based alternatives, beginning with one that's extremely popular, but has some serious nutritional drawbacks for seniors. That brings us to number 7. Coming in at number 7 is the coconut milk beverage. Now, it's really important to be specific here. We are talking about the kind you find in a carton in the refrigerated dairy aisle, not the thick, canned kind you use for cooking Thai food. Coconut milk is creamy. It has a pleasant, slightly sweet taste, and of course, it's dairy-free. But when we turn that carton around and look at the nutritional label, we see a big problem for seniors. First, it has virtually zero protein. As we've discussed, after 60, we need more protein, not less, to fight off that age-related muscle loss or sarcopenia. Second, it's very high in saturated fat. 1 cup can have 4.5 grams of saturated fat, which is about 23% of your entire recommended daily limit. While there's some debate in the scientific community about saturated fat, major bodies like the American Heart Association still recommend limiting it to protect your heart health. Here's an analogy. Choosing coconut milk beverage for its health benefits is like hiring a plumber to fix your electricity. It's simply the wrong tool for the job. You're getting a dose of high saturated fat and no protein, when what most seniors need is the exact opposite: high protein and low saturated fat. A woman in my community, Sarah, switched to coconut milk because she heard it was plant-based, and she assumed that meant it was healthier. She was using it in her morning oatmeal, thinking she was starting her day off right, but she was also feeling more fatigued than usual, and at her next checkup, her doctor noted that her bad LDL cholesterol was a bit high. By switching to a different milk that was high in protein and low in saturated fat, she was able to address both issues with one simple change in her grocery cart. So, if you love the taste of coconut, Use the beverage sparingly as a creamer in your coffee, but do not rely on it as your primary milk source. It simply doesn't provide the key nutrients, especially protein, that are so critical for maintaining your strength and vitality as you age. And the red flag is clear. If you have a history of high cholesterol, heart disease, or have been advised by your doctor to follow a heart-healthy diet, a beverage that is high in saturated fat like this is something you should definitely discuss with them before making it a regular part of your diet. From a milk that's low in protein, we move to number 6, another plant-based option that unfortunately comes up short in the nutrition department for seniors. At number 6 on our countdown is rice milk. Rice milk's main advantage, and it's a significant one for some folks, is that it's the least likely of all milk alternatives to cause an allergy. It's a safe haven for people who have dairy, soy, and nut allergies. However, beyond that one benefit, its nutritional profile is quite poor for a senior's needs. It is very high in carbohydrates and sugar, often with over 22 grams of carbs and nearly 13 grams of sugar per cup. And it has almost no protein, typically less than 1 single gram. This combination means it can cause a rapid spike in your blood sugar, and it does virtually nothing to help you maintain that all-important muscle mass we keep talking about. A simple way to think about it is this. Drinking rice milk for nutrition is like eating the white bread of the milk world. It's mostly refined carbohydrates and offers very little in terms of the protein and other nutrients your body is truly craving. Imagine someone who is carefully managing their diet for diabetes. They're choosing whole grains, lean proteins, and lots of vegetables. They might reach for rice milk, thinking it's a light or healthy alternative, not realizing that it has a higher glycemic index than even whole dairy milk. It's a choice that seems healthy on the surface, but could be silently undermining all their hard work to control their blood sugar. Unless you have multiple food allergies that prevent you from choosing other, better options, it's best to skip the rice milk. If you do need to use it, just be very aware of its high carbohydrate content and make sure you're getting plenty of protein and other vital nutrients from the rest of your meal to make up for what's missing in the milk. The red flag here is very specific. For anyone with diabetes, pre-diabetes, or who has been told they are insulin resistant, a high glycemic beverage like rice milk should absolutely be discussed with your doctor or dietitian. Okay, let's press the pause button. We've just covered the bottom half of our list, from number 10 down to number 6. It's time for a quick breath and a recap. So far, we've looked at the milks that are either actively dangerous like raw milk or are nutritional traps because of sky-high added sugar like sweetened condensed milk and flavored milks. We've also seen popular plant-based options like coconut and rice milk that, while you see them everywhere, are seriously lacking in the one nutrient that is so vital for keeping us strong as we age: protein. The big takeaway from this first half is that natural doesn't always mean safe, and many popular alternatives are failing to provide what is arguably the most important nutrient for senior muscle health. The marketing for these products often focuses on what's been removed, like lactose or fat, but they don't tell you about what's missing, like that essential protein. By the way, if you're finding this guide helpful and it's clearing up some of the confusion, do me a small favor and tap that like button down below. It's just a simple click for you, but it tells YouTube that this is valuable information, and it helps other seniors just like you find our community. Thank you so much for that. All right, take a deep breath. We are now heading into the top half of our list. These are the real contenders. These next 5 are where the choices get much more interesting and the benefits for your health become much more powerful. Are you ready for the top 5? Let's dive in with number 5. Okay, Kicking off our top 5 is a beverage that is incredibly popular, found in almost every coffee shop and grocery store in America. Almond milk. Now, almond milk has a lot going for it. It's very low in calories. An unsweetened cup has only about 40 calories, and it's low in saturated fat, which makes it a heart-healthy choice. When it's fortified, it can be an excellent source of calcium and vitamin D, which are great for our bones. But it has one major critical flaw, especially for seniors. It contains almost no protein. A full cup has only about 1 gram of protein. It's a bit deceiving because almonds themselves are packed with protein. But almond milk is mostly water, with a very small amount of almonds that have been filtered through it. My own father, Bob, switched to almond milk to cut calories. He was proud of his choice, thinking he was being healthy. But at the same time, he was trying to stay active and build strength in his 70s. He'd have a big bowl of oatmeal with almond milk after his morning walk. What he didn't realize was that he was missing a huge opportunity to refuel his muscles. That meal was giving him plenty of carbohydrates, but almost no protein to repair and build the muscle he was working so hard to maintain. He was essentially running on an empty tank when it came to his muscle recovery. So the verdict on almond milk is this. It's a fine choice if your main goal is cutting calories, but you must be diligent about getting protein from other sources in that same meal. If you have almond milk with your cereal, you need to add a scoop of protein powder or have a couple of eggs on the side to make it a complete muscle-supporting meal. And always choose the unsweetened version to avoid added sugars, and check the label to ensure it's fortified with at least 30% of your daily calcium. The red flag to watch for is this. If you're experiencing unexplained fatigue, a feeling of weakness, or if your doctor has mentioned concerns about muscle loss or frailty, it's a very good time to take an honest look at your total daily protein intake. Almond milk might be a place where you're unknowingly missing out on a key building block for your strength. Almond milk is a trade-off. You get low calories, but you also get low protein. But what if you want a plant-based milk that's a bit creamier and offers a little more nutrition? That brings us to number 4. Coming in at a strong number 4 is the new kid on the block that has taken the world by storm: oat milk. Oat milk's biggest selling point is its wonderful, creamy texture, which is much closer to dairy milk than almond milk is. It also contains a special type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan, which research suggests can be beneficial for heart health. Nutritionally, it's a definite step up from almond milk, offering around 3 grams of protein and 2 grams of fiber per cup. However, it's also higher in calories, around 120 to 140 per cup, and carbohydrates than most other milks. And just like with other plant milks, its real nutritional value for us seniors is entirely dependent on whether it has been fortified with calcium and vitamin D. A friend of mine, Carol, who is lactose intolerant, was so happy when she discovered oat milk. She told me, finally, a creamy milk for my coffee that doesn't upset my stomach. She loved it. But then she noticed that some brands left a strange, oily film in her coffee cup. She turned the carton around and checked the ingredients and saw that sunflower oil was one of the top ingredients added to make it feel creamier. It was a good reminder for her, and for all of us, that not all brands are created equal. Oat milk is a great creamy, dairy-free alternative. Your action step is to become a label detective. Choose brands that are clearly labeled unsweetened, are fortified with calcium and vitamin D, and have the shortest ingredient list possible. Watch out for added oils and gums, which are often used as thickeners, but add no real nutritional value. Because it's higher in carbohydrates, if you are closely monitoring your blood sugar, you'll want to see how oat milk affects you personally. It's generally a better choice than rice milk, but it's still something to be mindful of and discuss with your healthcare provider if you have any concerns. Oat milk is a good contender, but it still falls a bit short on the protein front. If you're looking for a plant-based milk that truly competes with dairy when it comes to protein, there's really only one choice. Let's look at number 3. Our number 3 pick, and the undisputed champion of plant-based milks for seniors, is fortified soy milk. Here's why soy milk stands out. It is the only plant-based milk that is officially considered a nutritional equivalent to dairy milk in the Dietary Guidelines for Americans. The reason is simple. It's a protein powerhouse. 1 cup of soy milk delivers a solid 7 grams of high-quality, complete protein. Complete means it has all 9 of the essential amino acids your body needs to build and maintain muscle, making it fantastic for fighting sarcopenia. When it's fortified, it's also packed with calcium and vitamin D, making it excellent for your bone health. It is the total package for a senior who wants or needs a dairy-free option without having to compromise on the 2 most critical nutrients for aging well: protein and calcium. If dairy milk is the gold standard for bone and muscle health, then you can think of fortified soy milk as its top-performing understudy. It can step right into the role and deliver a nearly identical performance, especially when it comes to that all-important protein. I think of a gentleman in his late 60s who decided to adopt a more plant-based diet to improve his heart health. He was worried he wouldn't get enough protein to support his active lifestyle of hiking and gardening. His friends were all drinking almond milk, but he did his own research and landed on soy milk. He told me later, it was a complete game changer. I felt just as strong and energetic as before. My doctor was thrilled with my cholesterol numbers, and I knew I wasn't missing out on those key nutrients. He made an informed choice based on his health goals, not just on what was popular. If you're looking for the best dairy-free alternative, this is it. Your action step is to look for the words unsweetened and fortified on the label. This ensures you get all the benefits without the added sugar and with those crucial bone-building vitamins. Now, there are a couple of red flags. Soy is a common allergen, so if you have a known soy allergy, this is obviously not the choice for you. Also, if you have a thyroid condition, some doctors recommend being mindful of a very high soy intake, so that's a worthwhile conversation to have with your endocrinologist or your primary care physician. Soy milk is the best plant-based option out there. But what if you're not looking for an alternative? What if you love dairy milk, but it just doesn't seem to love you back anymore? That brings us to our fantastic runner-up at number 2. Coming in at the number 2 spot is a true breakthrough that has improved the quality of life for millions of people: lactose-free cow's milk. Here's a frustrating reality for many of us. As we get older, our bodies often produce less of an enzyme called lactase. This is the enzyme we need to digest lactose, which is the natural sugar found in milk. This decline can lead to that uncomfortable bloating, gas, and stomach upset after drinking a glass of milk, something that might not have happened at all when we were younger. Lactose-free milk solves this problem beautifully. It is 100% real cow's milk, but with the lactase enzyme added directly into the carton. This enzyme essentially pre-digests the lactose for you, so your body doesn't have to. The result is that you get all the incredible benefits of dairy: the 8 grams of high-quality protein, the rich 300 milligrams of calcium, the fortified vitamin D, without any of the digestive distress. I have a neighbor, Margaret, who's in her late 70s. She told me she had given up drinking milk years ago because it always made her feel bloated and uncomfortable. She really missed it, especially in her morning tea. She just assumed she had developed an allergy. I suggested she try a small carton of lactose-free milk. The very next day, she called me, and she was absolutely thrilled. She said, "It's like a miracle. I can enjoy my tea again, and my stomach feels perfectly fine." It wasn't a miracle. If you've been avoiding dairy because of digestive discomfort, your action step is to give lactose-free milk a try. It comes in all the same varieties you're used to: whole, 2%, 1%, and skim, so you can choose the one that best fits your personal health goals. It's a simple switch that could bring a powerhouse of nutrients back into your diet. Now, it's important to distinguish between lactose intolerance and a true milk allergy. A milk allergy is a more serious immune reaction to the actual protein in milk, and it can cause symptoms like hives, swelling, or difficulty breathing. If you experience those symptoms, you need to talk to your doctor immediately. But for simple digestive upset, lactose-free milk is often the perfect solution. This brings us to our number one spot. It's the choice that is consistently recommended by the nation's top health organizations for healthy aging. It's simple, it's effective, and it's accessible. The best milk for seniors is, and here we are, at number one. The gold standard, the top recommendation from major health institutions for adults over 60, is good old-fashioned low-fat, 1% or skim or fat-free cow's milk. This choice wins because it perfectly and efficiently addresses the biggest health challenges of aging in one simple, nutrient-dense glass. Let's break it down. First, bone health. It delivers around 300 milligrams of highly absorbable calcium and is almost always fortified with vitamin D. This is the 1-2 punch you need to fight osteoporosis. A great analogy is to think of calcium as the bricks for your bones, and vitamin D as the mortar that holds those bricks together. You need both for a strong structure. Second, muscle health. It provides a full 8 grams of high-quality protein to help you preserve that precious muscle mass and fight off sarcopenia. And third, heart health. By choosing skim or 1% milk, you get all of these incredible benefits with very little to no saturated fat, which aligns perfectly with the recommendations from the American Heart Association to protect your cardiovascular system. For these very reasons, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans consistently recommend 3 servings of low-fat or fat-free dairy per day for older adults. When you think about the most effective health strategies, they're often the simplest ones. I think of my own grandfather, who lived a vibrant, active life well into his 90s. He wasn't a health nut by any means, but he did 2 things with amazing consistency. He took a long walk every single day, and he had a glass of low-fat milk with his breakfast. He wasn't overthinking it. Your action step here is to make low-fat or skim milk your default choice. If you're used to drinking whole milk, try transitioning down to 2% first and then to 1%. Your taste buds will adjust much more quickly than you think. This single change is one of the most effective and affordable nutritional choices you can make for your long-term health and strength. Of course, if you are lactose intolerant, then our number 2 choice, lactose-free milk, becomes your personal gold standard. And if you have a specific medical condition, like chronic kidney disease, your doctor or dietitian may have different recommendations for you regarding dairy, as they sometimes need to monitor phosphorus and potassium levels. The key is always to align this general advice with your personal medical needs. And there you have it, a complete tour of the milk aisle, from the worst offenders to the very best choices. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? As we've seen today, navigating that crowded milk aisle isn't about finding one single magic carton. It's about understanding the trade-offs. We've learned that many popular options are either sugar bombs in disguise or are surprisingly low in the protein we desperately need to stay strong. We've discovered that plant-based doesn't automatically mean healthier, and that the value of these alternatives depends entirely on good fortification. And most importantly, we've seen that the humble, classic glass of cow's milk, especially the low-fat and lactose-free versions, remains the top recommendation from health experts for a very good reason. It directly and effectively supports the unique needs of our bodies as we age. The most important message I want you to leave with today is this: you are in the driver's seat of your own health. This knowledge is power. It's the power to walk past all the marketing hype and the confusing labels and confidently pick up the carton that is right for your body, your health goals, and your life. You are the chief executive of your own health, and this is one of the most important daily decisions you can make to invest in your future vitality and independence. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which of these 10 milks was the biggest surprise or the biggest aha moment for you? Was there one you were drinking that you'll now reconsider? Please leave a comment down below. I truly enjoy reading every single one and learning from your experiences. And finally, if you found this deep dive helpful and you want more clear, no-nonsense health guides to help you live a stronger, more vibrant life, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the little notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Here's to your health, your strength, and your independence. I'll see you in the next video.